Live, and then let me,
Correct.
go.
6:30 we were supposed to be there.
Gee, sir, but I think since you have limited time and your own time,
No problem. We can do at 6:30 because that's fine.
yeah, I think we are live, sir. Let me just quickly have a look. How is your health, sir?
We were supposed.
Can I start?
Yeah, yeah.
And how is your health?
Mine is okay. You're talking to me?
Yes, sir, I'm talking
Mine
to
is
you.
okay too.
Great, great, great. All right.
We were supposed to be
Allow
there.
me a minute. All right.
Yes, sir. But I think since
Thank you so much for joining in Social Table Speaker Series. A warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank
Such
you
a,
very much.
uh, hello everyone. I'm Kalpana Chowdhary, founder of Social Tables, managing trustee and chairperson of Jan Seva Foundation, Being the Change, and Lagna.com. Lagna.com is a matrimony portal for differently able and acid attack survivors and cancer survivors. Along with it, co-chairperson of ASSOCHAM Women, ASSOCHAM State Women Entrepreneur Development Council, GSDC, member at FICCI Flow, CII IWN Maharashtra, Women Economic Forum, and TEDx speaker. Before diving into the guest introduction, I would like to take a moment to introduce you with Social Tables. Social Tables is committed to sustainable development program with societal well-being and environmental consciousness. Every week, we bring out to you some of the brightest minds from the diverse sector to discuss over a few significant ongoing issues. In this week's speaker series, we have our guest, Mr. Keval Handa. Currently, he is the non-executive chairman of Union Bank of India. Prior to this, he has served as Executive Director of Finance, Fizzle Limited, also Managing Director of WITH Limited from 2019 to 2012. Under his leadership, Pfizer India became one of the top 10 pharmaceutical companies in India due to new initiatives and innovative strategies implemented through his term. He constantly challenged the rule of the game, whether it was making Pfizer India the first MNC to enter into the branded generic space in India or explore a unique partnership with government to increase access. He is qualified management account and company secretary and has a master degree in commerce, has completed the Pfizer Leadership Development Program from Harvard University and the Senior Management Development Program from IIM Ahmedabad. He also done a certificate course on marketing strategy from Columbia Business School, New York. He was awarded the India CFO 2004 Excellence in Finance in an MNC by International Market Assessment Group, the Bharat Shrimoni Award in 2007, and the Farmer Leaders, Farmer Professional of the Year 2010. A very warm welcome to you on our today's speaker series, sir.
Thank you.
It's an utmost pleasure to have you here with us today. In today's discussion, we are going to discuss about the future of business post-COVID. So, how can business prepare for the future emergencies?
So thank you for having me on your show today, Kalpana, and I hope you all the best and all the success and keep a good, healthy life. I know you have gone through a lot of your personal health problems during the last 1 week. I didn't think this would have happened today, but I think I should admire your persistence and admire your commitment. And because of that, we are here today talking to each other. So once again, thank you very much for getting me on your show. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Yes, sir.
It's something these are turbulent times, we call it, and in a turbulent times there are a whole lot of uncertainties, and the fundamentals of business get challenged or get completely evaporated, and therefore the strategy on which your business has been based is no more valid.
Mm.
And suddenly you've seen, for example, to give you, you've seen businesses like travel and tourism. I know a friend of mine yesterday, I was talking to him, and he winded up completed his tourist business. And I said, what happened? He said, I just can't survive. I had 25 staff and there is zero business. I don't see business down the horizon in next 6 months to 1 year. And therefore, I've locked my premises and I'm sitting at home. Now, these are real turbulent times. And these are times where actually businesses have been shaken. And therefore, I think it's a time to also say, are we going to freeze? Are we going to freeze and do nothing about it? Are we going to just keep on asking that question, why this is happening to me? Or am I going to ask question, what can I do? What can I do on this time? What are the things that I can do? Is it something that I can do differently what I have been doing? Now, therefore, a whole lot of case studies today we have seen are coming up as to how businesses have completely changed their ways. For example, there was a company which was manufacturing vacuum dryers.
Yes.
And the vacuum dryers, and they suddenly said there is a challenge. How can we do business? Because there are no retail shop. We don't have any e-commerce of vacuum dryers. So they started manufacturing ventilators.
Wow.
They just moved on from one business to another in a short span of time. And they said, look, I'm not going to be in vacuum dryer. I know of a person in Mumbai. They used to have Pilot Guns. There's a brand name is Pilot Guns, very close family friends. And for one and a half month, they were just twiddling their thumbs and saying, "Abhi kya hoga, kya hoga, kya hoga." And suddenly they realize is they have this pilot gun, which can be used for spraying disinfectant.
Wow.
And today is the largest selling pilot gun. Now, all I'm saying is that you need to have that agility. That agility is something that you need to build in, that flexibility, that mindset to do things and change and adapt at the real time.
Absolutely.
It is something that is very difficult. Do you have that agility of adapting? Do you have an agility of resilience? Do you have an agility of learning? Because learning is a big process today. I have to learn what's happening around me. I have to learn what's within me. I've learned from my employees. Do have that ability to learn, agility to learn. And finally, the agility to look into the future. I say, what is the future in store for me? What can I do next? I know a builder who called me up and said, look, I had my premises. What I did is completely changed my way of the floor print was, completely changed the room structure was, the cabins were, and the toilets were. Today, I have no lifts in my building. I have cabins for old people, cubicles for the young ones, separate toilets, and this is COVID-proof building. Now, that is agility, is as to really coming up and doing it. And therefore, the role of leaders become very critical. Now, leadership is becoming a very, very critical. What type of leaders do we have today? Do we have the multipliers or we have diminishers? And diminishers are one who would say, no, do this, do that, do this, do that. I say this is right. Multipliers are the one who trust their employees, who give them the freedom, who build their ecosystem around them. They are the one who are saying that, look, I'm going to give you all the ecosystem in place. You go out and do things differently. I'm going to allow you to innovate. These are your stretch goals. Start thinking differently. And you see that multiplying effect happening within the organization. Time has changed. Things we were doing in the past may not be the same way we are going to do. You may have to move from product to services. You may have to move into multiple platforms. From a niche market, you may have to move to a mass market. There was one company which actually moved its manufacturing to where the market was.
Wow.
Because there was no COVID in their place and they had products which would have suitable for COVID. So moved to market where the COVID problem was. The Korean one company, lab company, started developing the kits. And today they export 20 million kits.
Wow.
Otherwise, they were not in business. Now, I am saying this is what all about leadership is today. And the leadership today is of emotional leadership. EQ leadership. People with high emotional leaders with high emotion are the one are able to relate with people. It's a darkness, and darkness cannot go away with darkness. Darkness can go only with the light of the people. And the light of the people only come with leaders who are emotionally high in questions.
Yes, yes, yes. So, as you said, time have changed, and so do we need to change now. And every adversity comes with opportunity, and we have seen it everywhere. So, well, so now moving forward, so what action can business holders take in present scenario to remain competitive under different future scenarios?
So I think what we need to do is to amateurs compete, they say, and professional create.
Okay.
You need to create. You take market risk today, not competition risk. There's no competition.
Hmm.
Where is the competition?
Hmm.
If there is in tourism, there is no competition. Aviation, there is no competition.
Hmm.
Where is the competition? So there's no point talking about competition today. You have to therefore do what I call it is take a market risk, create a market for yourself. There's no point competing now. It's the point of creating market, creating innovation, doing things differently what you have been doing. Disrupting yourself today is very important. And that starts, if you have that ability to disrupt yourself, you will disrupt the market. And once you disrupt the market, you will have a product, and then competition will follow.
Wow. Absolutely. Very well said, sir. I mean, usually we are, always in that zone of competitive world, and we are all the time, fighting the race. But
So,
as
say that change
the
doesn't
change,
happen in the
disruption,
comfort zone.
compass,
Change doesn't happen in the comfort zone.
true, true, true.
And comfort zone will not bring about change completely.
Absolutely. Absolutely, but यहाँ पे देखा जाए तो sir, I mean this COVID-19 have kept us all home, but irrespective of being in this comfort zone, we have become mentally very strong and become very innovative, and that's so incredible. Well, so what are the long-term effects on the banks, and how do they plan to recover?
So, banks depend upon the people who borrow money from banks. If there are no borrowers, there is no bank.
Hmm.
It's a very simple principle. And I always say that look, or entire thing is that you take deposit from people and lend it at a higher rate. That's how you make money.
Hmm.
And if there are no borrowers, or if the borrowers fail, then you fail.
Hmm.
Correct? And we've
Right.
seen in the past, the bank have gone through a tremendous time with whole
Yes.
lot of NPAs happening.
Yes.
Government has pumped in almost more than 3 lakh crores. Nobody has realized it in the terms of capitalization. They
Yes.
merged banks so that banks can be much stronger. And
Yes.
then, moment they have finished this, you have this COVID challenge. Now, what is happening during this period is all the loans are moratoriums are given, they are being deferred. We are
Yes.
deferring the problem for the future. We're saying just kicking the can further down the street.
Hmm.
How long you can kick the can? You're deferring the problem. And how long are you going to defer the problem?
Hmm.
So banks are going to have a challenge. As we don't know how much of that would be bad, how much that would be good, how much of the good account will turn bad as we go along, and what will be the exponential of those accounts. And I think we are passing through a tough time as far as the banking operation is concerned. And therefore, it is very, very important for the bank. A lot of people complain to me that banks are not giving money and all that. I said at this point of time, the banks have to be cautious also giving money. They can only lend to businesses which show potential or businesses which are profitable. They cannot lend money to businesses that are going down this road, because then there is no recovery. So banks are going to have challenge, but I'm sure I'm very confident bankers. Our bankers are of the top quality. They will bounce back. And I'm very confident on the RBI and also the government, they will find solution to bounce back. But it all depends upon how fast the economy comes.
Yes.
If the economy doesn't bounce back in next 2 or 3 months, then we are accumulating the problems further. And then we are creating more problems for the banks.
Okay. So having said that, is it a smart option for business to shift to e-commerce?
A lot of people ask this question. It's a good question you have asked me. Now,
Hmm.
e-commerce is not a panacea for all challenges. You
Hmm.
know, if everybody shifts to e-commerce, you will find it very difficult to select a product also.
Hmm.
There are a whole lot of things that you don't know what to do and how to do. And all products don't really qualify for e-commerce. And B is that there are different way of positioning your products in e-commerce.
Hmm.
So unless you do a very good study or to what lends my product to e-commerce, what is the right platform I want to go with e-commerce? Am I going to just put my product on Amazon or Flipkart and I earn nothing because then I hope they will promote and I will get the products? Or am I going to put on my website when nobody knows of my website? So entire digitization needs to be a thought planning.
Hmm.
And if you have a store format and you are moving straight to digital in e-commerce, then can't break one or close one business and do the other. You need to have a proper hybrid system in place. And
Hmm.
therefore, strategy need to be worked on. How do you plan to go on e-commerce? What is the
Hmm.
promotion budget you want to spend on e-commerce? How long you want to hit someone and what channel you want to select for each. So I think it's a good way of looking at it. But to answer your question, yes, it's a great opportunity. And you see a lot of these IKEA sold the largest number of table and chair, the study table and chair during this COVID period.
Yes, yes.
Now they just planned themselves to only that. Amazon sold the largest number of essential goods during this period.
Yes.
Essential. A lot of companies which were not on Amazon essential immediately jumped on that
True.
because that's how. But what they did was they also improved their delivery pattern.
Hmm.
Work on the delivery, improve the delivery so that the e-commerce was quite successful. So these are things that you need to really work on.
Very well said, sir. And sir, what are your thoughts upon the uncontrollable outcome related to the banks?
What do you mean by uncontrollable outcomes?
Your thoughts on like the banking sector. I mean, there's a lot of, about, as we spoke about the loans,
Hmm.
which banking sector is not, approving every loan.
As I told you, today, see the
So
good old,
there are a lot of people which have been affected
yeah.
very vastly. So
So
how
yeah,
do you cope up with that? How does bank cope up with the customer's expectation? Because you have a lot of your loyal customers who have been with you for years. So is this the time to show your loyalty as well?
very good question.
Hmm.
Now, two things I will answer. A is the good old days of phone calls from Delhi have stopped completely.
Hmm.
No more we do loans on phone calls. During my tenure, I have never received any phone calls. Even if I had received one or two, I casually tell them, look, you come through the process.
Hmm.
So we've not, and nobody said directly, said this and that. And so I said, come through the process. So those days have gone. So
Hmm.
now it is bank who has to, define their destiny. It is not being defined by the bureaucrats or by the ministry at the top.
Absolutely.
That's
Hmm.
a huge change. So
Hmm.
tomorrow, if the bank says my NPAs is because of X and Y and Z, don't take it. Nobody's asking them to give money now.
Hmm.
They have to lend based on their assessment, based on what they think is right, is they have to lend. Having said that, bank have been naturally cautious now of lending money because it's being big challenge of a NPA. They see a future NPA, but they are also flush with liquidity. They have enough of money in within them to lend. So there is, and if they don't lend, we heard about the reverse repo. They put it back the money with RBI. It doesn't make sense. If
Hmm.
they don't lend, then the liability they have to pay to the depositors.
Yes.
So they cannot run away from the liability of the deposit. They will have to pay. So the bank has to lend. Now the question is whom to lend, how to lend.
Yes.
Very good question you have raised. We raised this question in our board meeting and said,
Hmm.
those customers who have a good track record, who
Hmm.
have been banked for a pretty long time, we need to look at them quite differently.
Hmm.
And we need to actually handhold them. As long as the business is viable and they're having a liquidity problem, we need to support them.
Wow.
But if the business is not viable and
Ah,
they have a liquidity problem, then there is a challenge.
true.
So you need to see both a viability and liquidity. Bank can support you on liquidity. Viability depends upon the business.
True. Totally agree with you, sir. Then in this case, what effect will the business have on the short-term basis? Having said all these things, explained so beautifully.
So for all these standard accounts, we have not stopped any working capital. We have not stopped any funding. We are still lending in a big way. So there is no impact on that. The banks are welcoming projects that we're looking at. So at the most, we are not looking at most of the banks are not looking at a consortium or longer products, but the mid-sized projects, everybody is looking up. Good rating projects, up to BB, we are looking at projects and says, come, please, we'll lend. Even MSMEs, we are working with them and ask them to come. To make things easier, we have made things digital. You don't have to visit bank, do everything digital. And even to the extent we are saying that working capital enhancement, disbursement, everything we will do digital. Even in some of the states, we even do digital signatures on the document. So I think the banks have gone much ahead in this process, and they recognize the challenges the customers are facing. They recognize the challenges the borrowers are facing. They recognize that the turbulent time each one is facing, and the RBI is recognized and allow one-time standard looking at the business and restructuring the business for a standard account. So I think that's a good news for everybody.
Yes. And sir, anything on in terms of women entrepreneur, women schemes? Is there something Union Bank looking forward to help them in this during this crisis and maybe post COVID-19?
I think there is fantastic schemes of the government. Most of the schemes are also backed in terms of guarantees. And we've been supporting women entrepreneurs in a very big way. Jan Dhan account they have opened. They have the women entrepreneur schemes are there. 59 minutes approval MSME schemes are there. And all these schemes we are still supporting, and we are still looking at it. So there is no embargo or stopping those schemes. So women, people who have a good venture, are looking forward to doing business, do not hesitate to come to the bank.
Well, so there's a good news for women.
Of course, we welcome them.
Well, so how can business deliver better outcomes in this time of crisis?
So this is a very good question, how to deliver better outcome. Now, first of all, let's understand, business people have to introspect first. And I would say, start looking at what we call it a pestle analysis. What is your political, economical, social, regulatory environment that is happening within that, and sort of come out with a quadrant by two and say, look at what are my two big challenges I have, and what are the scenarios I'm going to develop on these two challenges, and how do I overcome these challenges. And you will have an answers on that. What are my short-term risks? What are my short-term gains that I can have, advantages, opportunities? What are my long-term risk of the business, and what are long-term opportunities? You may also come to a conclusion like my friend came in, that existential. I have no existence now. Now, how do I then look at my business if I have no existence? If I have come to the conclusion that this business is not going to work in short term, it's not working in long term, and if I continue, I will dip into all my savings and I will be on the road, then you have to take quick action.
Okay, so then how should the companies bring out a resilient approach for better business in that case?
So having done that, the companies have to first, if I have to survive in short term, then I have to do certain actions which are very critical in short-term nature. I have to see that I have a positive cash flow. How do I turn this into positive cash flow? Or I have a liquidity to run my business. Very important. B, my costs are well contained. And C, I have give enough of freedom my people to innovate, to try and experiment. Even if they fail, I support them. You need to create that environment and ecosystem also along with that. That is the short-term attack. Look at all opportunities. For example, in one of the pharmaceutical companies, and their products were such that they're finding it very difficult to sell. So they started selling all these masks and all these products which are used during COVID. They even launched 2 or 3 COVID immunity products. Now, it's a short term, it's not a long-term strategy. It's just to survive during the short term.
Pandemic, yes.
And therefore you need to, and see, this is the time where I always say to a lot of entrepreneurs,
Mm.
when there is a problem, it can be solved by time and money.
Mm.
If you have time and if you have money, problem can be solved. But when there is a dilemma, today is a dilemma, not a problem.
Yes.
It's a dilemma. Dilemmas can never be solved by time and money.
Mm.
Dilemmas are always solved by learning from others, by
True.
experience of others, by networking with others,
Yes.
by talking to the people you have not spoken in your life what to do, by
Mm-hmm.
doing things which goes beyond your comfort level. Then only your dilemmas can come. You have to recognize the problem. You have to respect the problem, reconcile the problem, and then realize it. Then
Absolutely.
only dilemmas are solved. I'll give you an example. In this COVID thing,
Mm.
you know, different countries took different approaches,
Mm.
based on people and performance.
Mm.
Correct?
Yes.
There are countries which said, for us, economy is important.
Yes.
Like US, I don't care for people, let
Yes.
them die.
Yes.
There were countries which said people are important, I don't care for economy. Too extreme.
Mm.
Was that a right approach? Ask yourself. Was
No.
there a balanced approach needed?
No. Yes, you need a balanced approach, of course.
Because if you have people and if you have no economy, what the people will do? And if
Absolutely
you have economy and if you don't have people, how will you run the economy?
true.
Then all that balanced approach comes from your culture.
Mm-hmm.
Countries like Japan and Korea, which have retained their past cultures, we
Mm-hmm.
retain their past values, which unfortunately the Indian history after independence has killed. After the Mughal rule and the British rule, our cultures has been deliberately suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
Culture brings the value in us. Culture brings the way of life in us. Japanese never said that anything is banned after COVID. Never said you can't do this, that you can do this, but please use these three things if you want to do it. Everybody on the road was wearing a mask. Anybody who no need to point out anybody. Everybody was keeping a safe distance. That was Japanese culture. If you had
Very,
the right culture, you fight the COVID.
very planned approach.
Not planned, the culture.
The
हमारे यहाँ
culture.
एक महीने बंद कर दिया. Was there
Yes.
right culture? People still came on the road, still came for a walk, still celebrate festivals. So we
Okay.
have killed our culture of the past of self-discipline.
Very important message. Very important message.
If we had this culture of self-discipline, we would have not had a COVID problem like Japan and Korea did.
Absolutely. Very well said, sir. And a last question. CSR fund has been moved to Government of India, most of it. So how are the corporates coping with it? And what kind of activities are you involved in? Because corporate social responsibility fund has been shifted for this COVID thing at central level.
Yeah, I think a lot of these
So,
companies made one big cardinal mistake of putting entire money in COVID funds. Well, it's required. They could have done this if they had extra cash outside the CSR, but they've used this money for CSR. What has done this? All the projects that were running died off.
yes,
All the people who were dependent upon the projects
yes,
have completely lost their jobs, have lost the work, and finding it very difficult to
yes,
survive. The impacts on the projects will not be now realized for a very long time.
true.
So I think the companies have made this big cardinal mistake. They should have continued their projects. Then could have reduced the level of activities, but could have continued their projects. Thereby, it would have also given a lot of confidence of the people. Thousands and thousands of people, poor people are working on, the number of NGOs are working on, that would have ensured their survival. See, at the end of the day, what is corporate for? Corporate is creating employments. Corporate is making profits. What is CSR for? Creating impact, supporting people at the ground level. If you've taken the money out, how are you going to create impact and support people? So I think they need to realize this, corporates, that they need to go back on their own CSR projects. The impact of the corporate CSR projects is 100 times more than would be anybody else doing it.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Totally agree with you. I run an NGO and today I don't have funds to do any activity if I want to do. From where would I give my impact? And as you said, people are losing jobs. So that is a matter of concern. Well, so thank you so much for your wonderful inputs. We have learned so much in just few minutes. Your noble thoughts and initiatives are just so inspiring. Now, moving on to a little fun part of it with some rapid fire questions. Who inspires you the most?
Inspiration. Now,
Yes.
inspiration is something here and there, look and feel. If you tell me, am I getting inspired by Gandhi's work now? I might not relate to that work today. So am I getting inspired? Am I getting inspired by Nelson Mandela now? Or even say, am I getting inspired by Sachin Tendulkar now? I would say no. Probably if I'm a cricketer, I see Virat Kohli batting, Virat Kohli winning matches. I may be getting more inspired by Virat Kohli now.
Wow.
So inspiration is where related to what your passion is. Inspiration is related to what your interest is. And it's happening around you and you get inspired with. Am I getting inspired with you now? That you've been in the hospital, you have spent few days in the hospital and you are coming and talking to me. Can I do this if it happens to me?
Oh,
That's
God
the
forbid.
inspiration. I'm just telling you, I'm getting inspired now by looking at corporates which have done things differently.
Yes.
I'm not going to be inspired by what happened to IBM maybe so many years back. I'm getting inspired what Amazon is doing, what Facebook is doing, what Google is doing, what Geo is doing today. I'm getting inspired. Can I do that? So inspiration comes from your real reality, your situation you are at. And anybody can inspire you. My grandchildren today inspires me to do differently. Now, my grandson, Krishan, I showed him some video. He said, you always show me what you want to show me. You never show me what I want to see.
You said that?
Yes. I
Oh,
just offer your kid.
just imagine.
Just imagine that. Now, his inspirations are quite different than what I thought his inspirations are.
Just imagine. I swear. Yeah. And it's always like what you feel good about is that is something what inspires you the most.
Inspires
Yes.
us.
Yes.
So I think inspiration should come and people should have passion and interest. Then
Passion.
only inspiration come. Otherwise, you'll never be inspired. And you should be good observer. If you're a
Mm-hmm.
good observer, you get inspired.
True. Ekdam sahi kaha. Sir, or what is the greatest risk you have ever taken?
Greatest risk I have ever taken. Well, many risks I have taken in job and many risks I have taken in corporate life.
Okay.
One of the greatest two risks I will elaborate to you. That was very interesting case studies on that. Is one was there was a lot of agitation going on by shareholders, minority shareholders against a certain act done by us in the corporate. And the agitation was every day on the newspaper and so on and so forth. And then suddenly we came to know that almost about 1,000 shareholders are meeting in one hall on so and so date. And of course, we were not involved in the meeting and so on. So my good friend who was helping us in this, Mr. Roger Pereira, you might be knowing him. Roger was helping us in this, and Roger looked at me and said, "What can we do?" I said, "Roger, you suggest what can be done." So I said, "Why don't we just go and in this meeting and you explain your why you're doing this?" And my MD said, "Roger, are you going crazy? I don't want my teeth to be knocked down there." Then I told Roger, it's not a bad idea.
Wow.
We will just barge in the meeting, take a permission to speak, and put a point and take questions. He said, "Okay, well, are you ready to do?" I said, "I'm ready because I've been in the corporate for so many years. Out of the 1,000 shareholders, I'm sure at least 100 or 200 know me personally. So even if I barge in, they are not going to object to it. And they would like to listen my cause." So I said, "Let's take a risk." Big meeting. We barged into that meeting. Three of us, me, MD, and Roger Pereira. And as we barged in, that some people looked at us. Two of them came and shook hands with me. She asked me, "How are you?" and all that. And everything fizzled out within 5 seconds.
Oh my God.
Suddenly, I was crowded by a crowd of 50, 100 people who wanted to talk to me and my MD. My God. And then the organizers didn't know what to do. So I said, if you don't mind, can I share the audience for dice with you? It
Oh
was like, and the media was there. They all were having a great laugh. And then a
my
big article after that. And then the shareholders meeting was a whimper and it's all over.
Wow, wow, wow. You really need that kind of courage to do what you did.
Exactly. What are leaders for? They
What a,
need to have courage. Yeah, you said it. They
yes,
need to have the humility
yes.
to respect others, to respect all. That is the humility which helped me to get into there.
Very true. Very well
If
said.
I didn't have the courage and humility, I would have never done that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And somewhere you need to listen to your heart, take risk, and just go it. Just go for
Absolutely. So this
it.
was one big risk which it took. I thought that was
That
very
went
interesting.
pretty well also.
Mm.
Well, so what is the most memorable moment of your life?
Ha. See, again, memorable moments are not when you become an MD.
Okay.
That moment is not memorable to my mind. Or when you get a promotion is not a memorable to moment to my mind. Or you win a big award, that's not a memorable moment to my life. To me, the memorable moments are the moments which happen during the journey.
Wow. Every,
And that, sorry,
every moment.
those are the moments which are memorable. And those are memories that stick to. I can give you another example. We were doing CSR work, Pfizer globally in North. And
Mm.
this was in infant mortality and women healthcare and women self-help group.
Mhm.
We started with just 2 or 3 villages, maybe. And then it increased to 600 villages in 3 or 4 years. We started with zero money in the bank of the women and ended up with almost 6 crore rupees in the bank on a self-help group. They had. Now, we were to visit one of the senior officer from director from Pfizer corporate affairs. She heard about this and she said, I want to actually go to the site and visit. So we said, instead of visiting site, we will call all these women. There were almost about 1,000+ women who were on the self-help group in one place, and you can meet them. So they were all there from 10 o'clock in the morning,
Mm.
and we were able to address them by 12 o'clock. So have lunch and share them with lunch and then part. We reached at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. So we got delayed. And as we entered, all of them got up and started clapping. Now,
Wow.
for them, delay was not important. For them was they wanted to see who changed our life. They are coming to meet us.
The mentors. Yeah.
And this lady, she started crying. She was a foreigner. She started crying. She said, I have never seen in my life such sea of humanity. So many people at a time and all cheering in spite of waiting for almost about 7 hours.
That is the impact, sir.
That is the impact of the CSR.
That is the impact.
And then that is the moment you should cherish in your life. You will
And
never get those moments back.
absolutely. And also, this shows the amount of impact and the change you have got in this thousands of women across 600 villages. That's incredible.
I'm
So
very proud of this initiative. And we won a nation award for this best CSR project, global
congrats.
award for this.
Wonderful. You had to get it. So if you could change one thing about your life, what would it be?
One thing, there are many things I want to change. So the many things, many times, your passion need to do certain things. You
Hmm.
don't get time to do it.
Hmm.
I wish I had time to pursue a lot of my passions.
Like, for
Like
example,
like like I have passions for, let's say, sports. I had a great passion. I
okay.
played for Bombay University football also. I was the university athlete also.
Really?
So I had that passion for sports, which
Ah.
would pursue that passion. Then
Hmm.
I had a passion for theater. I
Hmm.
did a lot of theater also, and I wish I had pursued that passion and grown in that field also. So, wish we had that culture at that point of time. which today the young people have, the life to choose. We didn't have that option that time.
Absolutely. Today, there are so many opportunities available on one platter. And if you go to see, there are so many people doing so many things at the same time, which we
Exactly.
never had that. Yes, totally agree. So,
So they
yeah,
are lucky to be born in this era with so many
true,
options,
true.
and they can pursue anything they want. We were born in this area, we were jacketed, and we had no choice.
सही कहा sir आपने. And place where you love being the most?
See, I love to be mostly with Sundays. I never go out. I'm at home only mostly. So I love with the family. Today, the place and the time I want to be with is with my grandchildren.
So sweet.
They're the gem of it, and their schools have started 8 to 2, but
Ah,
every 15 minutes break they come and break me also my tension and work with me. So, but in terms of ecosystem where I want to be, I love greenery.
oh,
I love to be in a serene area, in a green area, rather than being on the seaside. That's I want to be on where the positive environment is,
true.
where you can really feel the green around, the bird chirping around, or the rains are falling. That's the place I would like to be.
So basically, nature lover.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And your favorite hobby?
Many. So I will see during this pandemic time. Initially, we didn't know how long it's going to last and what it's going to do. So I said, let me pick up 2 or 3 things that I thought I should have done it, and I have not done it. So one thing is done. I read immensely on script writing.
You did that?
Yes.
Wow.
B is I participated and heard the world's 50 thinkers,
Wow.
and each session lasted for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
My corporate things where I'm on the board, I took a course on electric vehicles.
You did that now?
I did that now.
Wow.
And the last thing I took a complete course on digitization.
Wow. That's incredible. So you have utilized your time very well.
Yes, but still there was a whole lot of do because I'm passionate in coaching, executive coaching. I've done Marshall Goldsmith executive coaching. There was a last piece that was left as the 360 degrees assessment, which I had to actually do a practical exercise and do it. I got stuck in a problem for almost 7 hours. I didn't move in my seat for 7 hours.
My God.
I was glued, and my family was saying, what the hell is happening with him? 7 hours I was on one place to solve that problem. I finally solved it and when I cleared that, I didn't wait for the certificate to come. I said, Europe, I did it.
That's the determination and passion, what I call.
That's what I like.
Absolutely. And the very last question, if you were to be the Prime Minister for a day, what is the first thing you would do?
Our Prime Minister is doing many good things, better than I could do. So I really don't want to step on in his shoes and do things. But I think we need to bring the priorities of this nation right. And I will put really into bucket into A is if you want to be a big global player, you need to be strong in your defense and army. Nobody recognizes a country which is weak in defense and army. That is one priority we should not lose sight of. We need to be a global leader on our defense first. That is one top priority. Then you need to be really focusing on all your education and health.
Very important.
It's completely ignored. Governments over a period of time is completely ignored. Education, health. Bring the culture of this country back. Bring the learnings of our Vedas or Gitas back. Bring the values back. Bring the Sanskrit language back. Very, very critical to have the value structure of this country put in right place. Unless you do that, you will never be a Japan or never be a Korea. Mind you will be just assorted of people fighting against each other.
एकदम सही कहा सर आपने. And I think Modi government have also got all this Sanskrit and Upanishad, Gita, everything back in our education system now.
And the last one, which you are reading all about, is make and empower all the regulatory bodies. The police needs a reform and strengthening. You need to empower them that they take decision against the powers. Today, they are succumbing to powers. You need strong police. You need strong people to control this country. You're going to have problems. Unless the law and order is in place, you will never be able to run the country. So strengthen your governance system, law and order, and your judiciary. Very critical for survival of the democracy.
Very important. Very, very important point you have raised, sir. So, any message you have for our platform, Social Tables?
So I think the message I have is don't lose hope.
Don't do so. Well, and
I will say this is not normal. This is never normal.
Never.
If you go with that this is never normal, or it's just not a new normal, it's a never normal. Today is coronavirus, tomorrow is something else. You are in flux of change all the time. And therefore, how do you scan the future all the time and be ready position all the time is something that we need to learn.
Absolutely. And a message for my platform, Social Tables.
I think you're doing a fantastic job. It is through this platform that whole lot of people come to know as to what's happening in and around. And even if they pick up one thing that I have said, don't have to pick up everything, and they can put into practice, I think they would be a better human being.
Absolutely, sir. And I've learned so much from you, and I'm definitely, and you inspire me in so many ways. And the last call, what we had, I've become a huge fan of yours.
Thank you very much.
Such a sweetheart. Well, that's it for now. That's it for today. Let me take an opportunity to thank you and give you a vote of thanks. It's a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks to Shri Keval Handaji, who despite his busy schedule has found time to grace this special interaction. We are extremely grateful to you for sharing your words of encouragement and giving us valuable inputs. Your eminent presence has indeed made this interaction a memorable one, and we unite to thank you from the bottom of our heart for your kindness, interest, and support. We wish you all the very best in your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and to all your viewers, don't worry about Corona. This will pass.
This shall pass. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.